Tonight, a free laundry service for the homeless pulls out of the mid-north due to a lack of use. And a Tubby Bay resident celebrates a major milestone, turning 107.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. A free laundry service for the homeless has pulled out of the mid-north. Orange Sky claims it's now hundreds of thousands of dollars out of pocket due to lack of funding and use.
Sandy the van set out to wash and dry the clothes of homeless people within our region. The service was expected to help hundreds of locals doing it tough since it first launched late last year, but that wasn't quite the case.
We had a service running in Peterborough and we managed to wash the belongings of one of our homeless friends there, but that was once in 4 months.
The service claims it had a verbal agreement for a $100,000 grant with another company. Orange Sky self-funded the van and put it on the road before funding was received. And when it fell through, Orange Sky says it was left more than $130,000 out of pocket.
Expended over $100,000 in customising the van and about another $30,000 in mobilising the vehicle to the area, recruiting volunteers, training volunteers, figuring out where we're going to locate the van.
The lack of funding and little use has resulted in the service being pulled from the northern districts.
Until we actually manage to secure alternative sponsorship or donations, that we'd have to pull the vehicle from the northern part of the region.
State funding is out of the question as the company is based interstate. Orange Sky is now calling upon local businesses to show their support and sponsor the Sandy van.
Local businesses often get behind us as sponsors because they recognise that there are people doing it tough in the region and want to give back.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
A 25-year-old man has been airlifted to the Royal Adelaide Hospital following a serious car crash at Snowtown last night. Just before midnight, his car hit a stubby pole on Railway Terrace, bringing down power lines. The man was trapped in his car for an hour while emergency crews worked to disconnect the live wires, leaving more than 40 residents without power until 9:25 this morning. He remains in a serious condition in hospital with head and spinal injuries, which are not life-threatening. An earthquake has rocked the mid-north overnight. The 3.3 magnitude tremor hit the region just after 10. Residents reported feeling it across Gladstone, Port Pirie, Crystal Brook and Laura. It follows a 3.7 magnitude earthquake on the Eyre Peninsula last week. Police have released CCTV footage of a recent break-in at the Port Lincoln Gymnastics Club. Just before 4 a.m. last Friday, 2 people broke into the club rooms on Coronation Place and stole cash and electronic goods. The pair can be seen opening a cupboard while rummaging through an office. Anyone who recognises the suspects is urged to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000. Some special people in the Port Augusta community have been honoured with NAIDOC Awards. The winners received gongs for their continued service and achievements within the Indigenous community.
2 local heroes who hold a place in the heart of the Port Augusta community, and now their efforts have earned them NAIDOC Awards.
It was a surprise to get the award.
Levine took out the prized Lifetime Achievement Award after years of service in a number of art and community-based projects.
It is good to be recognised by the community for what you do, but that's not why you do it.
Bradley is a community constable in the South Australian Police Force, and among many achievements, has had key involvement in the Aboriginal Power Cup program, as well as volunteering as a basketball referee in the town.
I don't do it for the awards. I just like to help my community out.
The celebrations were a family affair, with Bradley's son Aziel awarded Sportsperson of the Year.
That's a pretty good achievement as well, especially I won it and he won it in the same year.
The duo shared the stage with 9 other award winners, including Port Augusta secondary school student Amelia McKenzie, who won Youth of the Year, and illustrative artist Dave Laslett, who won the Unsung Hero Award.
And to stand up with all of these other worthy winners, I mean, Port Augusta has such a really strong future.
It just goes to show that we do have many great people in our community that are very worthy of the awards they received, and I think we need to very proudly put them up and actually commend them.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Steel magnate Sanjeev Gupta has purchased an Indian company in a similar move to buying the Whyalla Steelworks. He's bought at Hunnick Metal Licks, which owns a steelworks in eastern India. Like Whyalla, it was bought by Mr Gupta after being forced into administration last year. The company produces 1 million tonnes every year and employs over 1,000 people. GFG Alliance will implement its green steel strategy at the plant, which aims to reduce waste and reuse recycled products in the steelmaking process. Still to come tonight, we meet Tubby Bay's oldest resident as he celebrates a major milestone. That's next. A controversial monument by the Elliston Council has received a National Reconciliation Award. The Reconciliation Monument project is aimed at acknowledging the deaths of Aboriginal people at Waterloo Bay in 1849, but there's been backlash over its wording. However, the council, local residents and Indigenous people were able to come to an agreement which has seen the monument finished.
You know, to be crowned a national winner for reconciliation for a little council like Elliston, so it's pretty special. But I know the majority of the people, like they said, it's taken 169 years to get to this point.
To celebrate the National Award, the monument will have an official opening and public display later in September. Whyalla residents gathered at the local hospital today to celebrate Aboriginal culture and reward those for their work in the community as part of NAIDOC Week. There were a few famous faces on hand as well, with a few Port and Crows footy legends joining in on the celebrations.
Gathering together to celebrate 40,000 years of stories, Whyalla Hospital hosted an Aboriginal Culture Day this morning as part of NAIDOC Week. Organisers say today was focused on recognising the connection between Australia's first people and the land.
Recognise Aboriginal culture and the continuous connection that Aboriginal people have to country, to language, to culture.
It was also a chance to celebrate the work of hospital staff. Awards were presented to a number of groups and individuals that have worked on projects with a focus on the Aboriginal community. Ms Coulthard praised them, saying they've made the local health scene a more inclusive place.
They go that extra mile in ensuring that Aboriginal people or Aboriginal inpatients receive a culturally appropriate services.
Everyone was treated to a barbecue and a chance to meet some SA sporting royalty. Former Port players Wade Thompson, Peter Burgoyne and Troy Bond were joined by former Crows Shane Bond and Crows legend Tony Modra. They posed for photos and also had a kick with the kids. Both Troy and Tony say they enjoyed travelling to the region for the event.
Mixed with the community, the Dusty Feet dancers that done some traditional dances, they were fantastic.
It's just an experience and, learning more every week from NAIDOC Week. So, for instance, last year was all about languages. This year it's all about inspirational women's.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
In an exciting update on Tubby Bay's plans for another Colour Tumby Festival, the local Progress Association has received a major cash splash. Almost $100,000 from the Building Better Regions Fund will go towards the colourful festival to be held in April next year.
Really amazing for our festival. It'll make a lot of difference. It allows us to bring those world-class artists again.
The event is expected to cost $150,000 in a bid to bring in more world-class artists to splash world-class art across Tubby Bay's streets. Well, it's not every day someone turns 100 years old, but what about turning 107? Well, that was the case for a Tubby Bay resident today, and it appears turning 100 is a common celebration in the small community.
A momentous milestone for Tubby Bay's Ron Dorwood.
Happy birthday to you.
The day was made extra special with the attendance of some of Ron's extended family.
It's actually really special. It's awesome.
Very special. I think he's loving it with having the most fun. So very, very big milestone, I suppose, for anyone.
Ron certainly enjoyed joining in on the celebration.
Hooray!
And it turns out he had a few secrets to share about how he's lived so long.
We tried to get him to say it. Often when you ask him what his secret to longevity is, he says because he never married. But I think it's just his great attitude.
Take it and come
take it as it comes, yes.
It appears there's something in the waters in Tubby Bay, with a further 4 residents over 100 years old and another gentleman turning 100 early next year.
I don't reckon there's that many aged care facilities that have got that many. It's the country air, you know, and the country people have just such a great attitude to life, so I'm sure that makes a difference as well.
And it seems Ron wants to keep living that country life with a big goal in mind.
Celebrated a few birthdays with him, and hopefully his goal was to make it to 110, so that's what he told me, so hopefully he will.
Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
Corn has been treated to a one-of-a-kind music performance by multi-instrumentalist Adam Page. Armed with nose flutes, toy pianos and everyone's favourite, the saxophone, the one-man band looped the musical elements to create glowing, vibrant songs. It was the first time Country Arts SA had brought its Shows on the Road program to Corn, and the positive response could signal many more in the future.
Demand will mean that we can do more. We can do more in the future. If the people come, we'll keep coming back.
Organisers estimate around 70 locals attended the Corn Town Hall for the event. After the break, how Whyalla Council will mark National Tree Day differently this month. That's next. Best-selling author Monica McInerney is currently touring the nation promoting some of her latest books. A stop in Port Pirie was a must last night, with the region featured in one of her latest novels, Hello from the Gillespies.
She might now call Dublin home, but for world-renowned author Monica McInerney, Meg's bookshop is a little closer to her heart.
We used to come up to the Flinders a lot for holidays, and my Auntie Marcy and Uncle Perce lived here in Port Pirie, so I always knew it.
Entertaining a crowd of nearly 100 people, she promoted and spoke about what inspired her 12 novels.
Family comedy dramas, so they're big books about messy families.
That love for the region is what inspired her to write about Port Pirie in Hello from the Gillespies, which includes a very familiar face.
Running up Ellen Street, and they call in to Meg's bookshop and they talk to Margie. I don't name Margie, but I talk about her as the dark-haired owner.
Pretty exciting at the time, and obviously I must have dyed my hair nicely.
Monica publishes her books all over the world and in 15 different languages, putting Port Pirie and the Southern Flinders Ranges on the map.
The books are published internationally, and I love that the books that feature local places that I grew up knowing are read all around the world. So it was an excuse to promote the Flinders Ranges, really.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Well, believe it or not, Christmas is just 167 days away, and the Port Pirie Christmas Pageant Committee is already planning its annual event. It's hoped 50 floats will enter the pageant, with more sponsors and volunteers showing their support.
We're happy with the route, so we'll continue to have the same route. The Christmas in the Park will go ahead. We've got more volunteers. Woolworths are also offering extra sponsorship, so there's opportunity to look at a new theme as well.
This year's Twilight Pageant will kick off at Memorial Drive on December 1st. Whyalla Council will mark National Tree Day a little bit differently this month. Instead of a mass tree planting event, it's branching out to families, offering free trees for residents to plant in their own gardens.
National Tree Day is one of the big community days on the calendar, and this year it'll be no different. Whyalla Council is marking the day on July 28, with a whopping 500 trees to be planted in the city. But instead of one massive planting event, individual households will be tasked with doing the job.
We're taking National Tree Day home to your own backyard, so we're giving away 500 free shrubs or plants for people to take home.
Seedlings will be available at the Whyalla Library on the day. The plants are all native to our region and have been sourced from the Arid Lands Botanic Garden in Port Augusta.
They can involve the kids, they can water it every day, they can nurture it, watch it grow, and they can love it in their own backyard.
The Family Fun Day will also include a sausage sizzle and other activities. In the long run, Ms Barnes says it's important to continue developing new plants and trees across the city. She also says it's not only important for the environment, but it helps brighten up the look of Whyalla and make it a better place to live.
It's all about getting back to nature, being part of a national event and greening Whyalla, so beautifying Whyalla, which is always a great thing.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Looks like a great initiative. Now a look at the region's petrol prices with Garth.
Well, most fuel prices are holding even or on the way down, which is sure to be welcomed by customers. Many feeling the pinch at the pump over the last month, with prices still floating around that high 140s to mid 150s. Starting with unleaded, and prices on the Eyre Peninsula are slightly higher than last week. Port Lincoln marginally up, while in Whyalla, prices rose by just under 2 cents. Motorists in Port Augusta and Kadina will be pleased to see green, and in Port Pirie, prices have remained steady. In Broken Hill, there's been no fluctuation, and in the city, last week's relief was short-lived, as the price at the pump jumped almost 26 cents. Turning attention to diesel now, and across the board, there's plenty of promising signs to fill up the car, especially if you're in Port Lincoln, where the price has dropped by 3 cents. Whyalla and Port Augusta are holding even from last week, and Port Pirie and Kadina have remained steady, still around that high 140 mark. Broken Hill is on the way down, but is still at a whopping $1.58, and Adelaide is the lowest of all the regions at $1.43. And remember, these prices are the regional averages and do not reflect any one particular outlet. And if you spot a place that sells unleaded or diesel for cheaper, let us know on our Facebook page.
Stay with us after the break. Amy will be here with all the local weather details. And Amy, the sunshine continued around the Gulf today.
It sure did, Fraser, with temperatures rising just slightly around the region, but it does look like we'll be seeing some more sunny weather this week. I'll have all the details up next. Welcome back. Well, it was nothing but sunshine around most centres today, with maximums hitting 18 in Port Augusta and 17 in Whyalla. Port Pirie sat just a few degrees below, while Broken Hill and Port Lincoln experienced a finer day with temperatures in the mid-teens. Taking a look at the satellite, and cloud over the southeastern parts in a cold, unstable airflow is generating the odd shower. However, skies are clear over the central and northern areas under a dominant high pressure system. It's looking like a nice day to be on the waters if you're heading out tomorrow. Southerly winds will shift southwesterly up to 10 knots, while seas will be relatively calm, reaching up to 1 metre. If you're out early enough to catch the sunrise, that will be at 7:24, with sunset at 5:25. Checking tomorrow's forecast now, and the sun is here to stay despite some very cool overnight temperatures. After a low of 0 and the possibility of frost, Port Augusta, Woodna and Corn will reach 18 degrees. Maximums in Whyalla and Cleve will sit just below. Leading into the weekend, the chance of showers in Port Lincoln on Saturday. Cleve could also see a wet weekend and 17 degrees, as will Woodna. However, temperatures will be slightly warmer, sitting at 19 degrees. A run of sunny conditions over the next few days in Whyalla, with a high of 18 to start the weekend. Port Augusta is in for similar nice conditions and 19 on Saturday. Temperatures in Kadina won't go beyond 16 degrees, with the chance of showers. Port Pirie is also in for mostly sunny conditions over the next few days, with tops of 17 on Friday and Saturday. Despite the cooler days in Clare, a run of lovely days are predicted, and in Broken Hill, sunny but a little chilly, with maximums of 16 degrees on Saturday. So Fraser, it might be cooling down overnight, but we'll get the chance to thaw out in the sun during the day.
Thanks, Amy, and that's the news this Tuesday. Thanks for your company. I'll have some updates later. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.